Hello and welcome to the episode number 2 of The Mint Condition. I am Joe, alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host Chad. Chad, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic today, Joe. I can't believe we're on episode 2. I can't believe I'm calling you Joe.
Feels like a year. We also have our third host with us today, the amazing DEZ. DEZ is our data guru. So he's going to be providing us with some awesome data around Top Shot and the marketplace, which is a very sometimes overwhelming place to be if you're just getting started into Top Shot. So we're going to do our best to kind of walk you through some of those things to look for, where you might find some value, and that's all going to come from our boy DEZ. DEZ, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. So it feels like it's been a couple years and it's only been 2 episodes. So a lot of work goes into the show. I know you guys work your butts off and appreciate it. So I'm happy to be on, happy to impart any wisdom I can try to give to the group here. Like you said, it can be a lot in the marketplace, especially if you're just joining now. So it's always good to have a little extra info.
Absolutely. And DEZ, what's your background? How'd you find Top Shot and things like that?
Sure. It's a long way in. Started in crypto for probably many of us, and the way I got into crypto was actually, I was just doing some sports gambling, always loved sports gambling, and
tale as old as time.
Options of course. I mean, that's how we all get into this G-Gen mode. But no, I was looking at the ways I could withdraw the money from the site. Cause obviously I want a whole bunch of money, but So I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to just cash out or take it into crypto, and it seemed easier to go into crypto. So I thought, okay, great opportunity to get into that. And it just slowly started to roll. And, I think it was pacing, very, very basic stuff, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And then about in March, when the pandemic hit, I thought, all right, I'm sitting on a little bit of cash. Where can I invest that? What different markets can I diversify in? Started looking at cryptos, started putting a little bit into stock market, things like airline companies and stuff. And it was just great timing. And so that took off, piqued my interest. Just like Jack will probably talk about sports cards. He's been probably a longer term collector than I have, but I got back into it in June of last year. And, it's been a wild ride there. Crazy ride. It actually hasn't been nearly as crazy as Top Shot, but it's been great. So I did that for about 6 months, really learned the ins and outs of the sports card business, did a little bit of flipping, realized you can make a nice bit of profit. And then I was driving to work, listening to one of my sports card podcasts. I can't even remember if it was Breaker Weekly or if it was Mojo Break. It was one of those. And I live by this kind of rule of 3. I heard it a couple of years ago on a podcast, how I built this. But basically, if you ever are in your day and you hear something 3 times, it's kind of like the world's way of reaching out to say, focus on this. So I woke up, drove to work, listened to the podcast. They were kind of making fun of Top Shot, saying how it's just how it's a gimmick or whatnot.
Probably was Mojo.
It probably was Mojo. They were making fun of it. And then, so that was the first time. Then my buddy from Georgia just randomly texted me and said, hey, have you heard about this thing called Top Shot? And of course, that was number 2. And then I'm going home looking for a new podcast to listen to. And I stumbled upon the First Mint. So that was my crazy intro, crash course, 24 hours in late January, and been hooked ever since. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are going to have similar stories, right? So, and then we have an awesome guest with us today. Our first real guest on episode 2. We are honored to have Jack Settleman with us. Jack, thank you very much for joining us. Jack is the founder of Snapback Sports. So, Jack, you have a really interesting story, and I wanted to have you on. I've heard you on a bunch of different podcasts and things lately. Both Sports Cards and Top Shot. You guys have Club Top Shot, which is your YouTube show, which is really cool as well. And I think, for our audience here, we're trying to bridge the gap between, the physical collectibles and digital and the whole NFT space and sports cards and things like that. So I wanted to have you on, share your story. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, man. So, let's hear a little bit about your background. You can start kind of with your, you've had a really interesting run with just even starting back with social media. And how does that bring you from there to sports cards? You were at Dallas this weekend, right?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was fun. It was my first ever card show. So the backstory is I built a company on social media because I like that level of engagement. I think there were a lot of tools that kind of made that available to me. So I built Snapback Sports up over the past 3.5 years. I love Bitcoin. I love decentralization. I love the theory behind all of that. My first job was at Action Network. So sports betting is kind of ingrained in me. And then when COVID hit, I've been following Gary Vee for a while, so that kind of piqued my interest. One of my good friends actually mentioned physical cards to me, a year prior to COVID even coming, and I probably should have looked into it more then, but it wasn't as accessible. There wasn't content around it, right? You really had to go search high and low for a good community. Whereas once March kind of hit and people were bored at home and this entire craze blew up, it became more available. I was lucky enough to get in like March, April, instead of a lot of people jumped in July, August, which still I'm sure they made out very nicely. But that was that. And then the real turning point, or at least my interest in Top Shot, was I had actually signed up for Top Shot's beta, like whenever they first released it, because social media, crypto, NBA, it's like what I do kind of. So it was a perfect blend of that. So I checked it out a couple times. I didn't get it. And I was collecting physical cards at the time, and I still just did not understand it. So when I was trying to buy and flip Michael Porter Jr. base prisms in the bubble, and I bought them for 20 and they got up to $100. But by the time I had them listed and could sell them, they were back to 20. I was like, there's some major flaws here. On top of that, I sent a ton of Messi, Ronaldo stuff and other stuff for grading. And I sent express. So it was really expensive. And my stuff still came back 2 months later. While it was there, cards I had went from, $500 to $3,000 back to 500 just while sitting at PSA, right? So I'm like, there's some issues here. I see one more tweet about Top Shot. I'm like, all right, I really got to try this out. And once it clicks for you, it clicks, right? And I just had a ton of conviction at that point where it made so much sense to me, kept learning. And the coolest part about the NFT community, which I found similar in physical cards too, was like people want you to be involved. So they'll take time and teach you no matter. So my first experience is like DMing on Twitter with Pranksy. And like Pranksy's like the NFT king, right? And I always use the example of like, I live in New York. I can't go find the top real estate agent in New York and get a 30-minute conversation. He would never say, they would never accept that. Whereas Pranksy's kind of going back and forth with me in the DMs. Then you head to Discord and, your world's open from there.
Yeah, isn't that? I think that's really interesting. One, it's so funny how at least I think all three of us, me, you, and Dez, have almost an identical path to how we got here, whether it's even just getting into crypto, because I came the same way. I was a sports bettor and I came into crypto that way. And then I found, rekindled my love for physical cards when my buddy got me into breaking. And that was, that's a whole different style of gambling. And then, you go into it really deep and you're grading cards and all that stuff. And then, but I think you're right. But as far as the gaps between what is flawed about maybe some of the physical stuff, and this being kind of a little bit of the solution to that. And then Chad, you're a crypto guy through and through.
100%.
And you've heard these stories how many times, right?
So many. It's good to get them from a different perspective. But I'll tell you what, since you started breaking, I don't know, was it a year ago?
Yeah, a little over a year.
I've been watching. I've been, trying to pay attention. I don't have many friends, So my one friend, he's into this. I'm like, well, I should figure out what's happening with this. And I've been watching a lot of like pack breaks and stuff.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And lately, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't know what company. I don't know if it's like Panini or whatever, but there are these basketball cards, like these real basketball cards that have these. You have to redeem the autographed card.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they're called
redemption cards. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so I've been watching these Kobe ones. So like I guess redemption cards is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but a redemption card is like somebody would get them signed after the fact, like after you've redeemed it. So obviously you can't do that with Kobe anymore. So now they've been giving out these like Kobe packs,
the Kobe tribute packs. Yeah,
I'm like, I gotta get me one of these. They're terrific,
dude. Those are reselling for like $1,000 a pack.
Does not shock me one bit. Does not shock me one bit. But I've been getting into it. I totally get where you guys are coming from now. I'm involved.
That's funny. So Jack, when you when was it that you finally made the move to Top Shot and went all in? Because I had a similar story where I actually had my Top Shot account in October, and my thing was I wasn't a huge NBA guy at the time, so like my interests were. If this was an MLB NFT platform, I would have been all in from the start, and I probably would have been, Top Shot rich. But so it took me a little while to get into Top Shot because of the NBA piece. And so I think all three of us have had that, 1, 2, 3 times, and really it clicks. When was that from a time frame? How early did you get into that?
So I didn't really dive in until early December. That's when it all clicked for me. And I started buying, and, there were packs available on the site, and stuff wasn't as crazy as it is now. And I just started engaging with the community. And I think the growth was like from 5,000 to 8,000 members, right, in the Discord, which at the time, that's a lot. Like that's a 60% almost increase. And then when it hit 10K around Christmas, I'm like, I could feel the momentum. And then you started to see, like, I think we did $1 million in a day. At some point, it was just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And so at that point, it was right before New Year's. I was trying to buy, like, people don't even understand what it was like. Literally 3 months ago, Usman, who's like a community lead, was negotiating and refereeing transactions. So I would like I bought my LeBron Cosmic off platform. Like I sent Bitcoin and they sent it to Usman. And like they understood the value in like not even putting stuff on the marketplace. So I was trying to buy, I undersent the Bitcoin because I sent it in USD and the exchange rate had changed. And I missed out on a Cosmic. And like, it was just that feeling of FOMO of like, okay, I get it now. Like someone just tried to buy this as I was trying to buy it. The attention is there. And then so I bought a bunch of stuff right before New Year's. Then the week after, I dumped a ton more in. And then 3 weeks after New Year's was when we made the big LeBron buy. And at that point, it was kind of game over from there.
So talk about the LeBron buy. So you bought, one, which exact moment is this? 2, how did you come to the conclusion that this was, something that was worth buying, from being, I think, because we see a lot of physical sports cards now going for astronomical amounts of money. In this past week, there was a Luka that went for like $4 million. Yeah. And so like we've seen these in the physical space. The Mantle went for 5.2 million, things like that. But what was it that triggers in your head that says, okay, I'm going to buy the LeBron moment for 50K. So tell us a little bit about that story.
So Bales makes his 35K purchase, and Bales was at Fantasy Labs when I was at Action Network. So I've been pretty familiar with him in that time. And so it was one of those warning signals or market signals of like, okay, someone just dumped a lot of money into this, who I know he has a lot more money than me, but he has conviction on this platform. So I was kind of scouring around, and like, I personally didn't like the buy that he made. Like that was the largest 35K at the time. And I was like, Ja Morant, like number one, I think I'll talk about the moment we bought, but so that was like enough buyer confidence. And I think that's going to happen in the future where someone's going to come in with like 5 to 10 million and buy up a ton of the top stuff. That's going to be the next round of buyer confidence. But at the time, that's all I needed. And I saw the LeBron moment, And it was kind of the perfect, like, I think it's the best moment on the platform. Obviously, I'm super biased to it, but you've got the best player who's ever going to be on the platform, assuming that they don't really ever get MJ on there based off, the MBPA and that relationship. You've got 23 is not only LeBron's number, but it's Jordan's number. It's a special number. Like, people recognize that. Another factor is number 1 is going to be on the Genesis. It's going to be on the Platinum. Every moment ever is going to have a number 1 serial, but only, X amount are going to have the 23 for LeBron. And then it was the most special moment, right? So on the platform at the time, like, this isn't the best moment of LeBron's career, but honoring Kobe Bryant was just so crazy. It was scarce. So in a way, to me, it's a 1 of 1, even though there are 59 available. So I was looking. Number 1 was actually available for the same price at the time. And I probably should have bought both, which was offered to me by Pranksy. But, but so we chose 23 because of those reasons that I mentioned. And I was going to buy it. Like, I was going to buy it straight up for myself. I was going to sell a Bitcoin and like go all in. And I said to my friends, I was like, look, I'm buying this, so I don't really care. But if you want to get in, you want to be part of it, like, feel free. Talk to like, a bunch of them separately. They were all like, they could hear it in my voice. They could hear it in my, my body language. So we got a bunch of people in on it. And obviously they're like thrilled that I included them. I shouldn't have, but I did.
You shouldn't have.
I should not have. But most special moment on the platform to me of LeBron James. So that's kind of how we got to that.
So what do you think this could be potentially worth in the future? If like, what do you think the future of Top Shot is versus, what you might have in this moment here?
So when I first bought it, I was going on a couple of podcasts. That's how I got hooked up with Club Top Shot, actually. And I said, like, it would be cool. So Ravel called me to do the story, and I had worked with Ravel at Action Network, and he mentioned to me that Maverick Carter like was aware of the transaction. So that's really? LeBron's guy. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So he was like, yeah, Maverick Carter has no fucking clue what just happened, but he at least understands that something about LeBron happened. So from there, I put that in the group, and we just kind of ran with this narrative of like, we're going to sell it to LeBron for $1 million, 100%. Right? And that felt at the time ridiculous. We had just made the biggest buy. Now, I kid you not, like we would not sell it for anything less than $1 million today. And like, if it wasn't to LeBron James, I don't think we would sell it today for $1 million. I really, it might sound stupid to a lot of people, but I really do think that it's $1 million.
It should be $1 million and a signed Space Jam 2 jersey.
That's what you got. The boys in the group want courtside tickets, but we got to figure out what else he can toss in. But yeah, I think that's what it's worth.
I think the mint condition needs to make a group buy of some kind. I don't know if we can afford the.
I'm waiting for you to tell me which ones. I'm waiting for you to tell me which ones you have in your back pocket that you didn't include me on.
I am currently emptied my full clip on Seeing Stars, so that's where I am right now.
There you go.
We'll talk about that a little later, but that's pretty cool. So $1 million to LeBron. So yeah, of course LeBron listens to this show, so hopefully he'll hit you up after that. After this, Des, what do you think? How do you feel about that buy?
First off, I think the rationale why you chose 23, brilliant. I've thought of many different reasons, and I always loved listening to you and Andy 8052 to discuss, cosmics versus hollows. I think you win that argument every single time, especially now that there's hollow icons and it's just continuing. Right? There's only going to be one, set of cosmics, hopefully. And so no, I think it's an incredible buy. Obviously, looking back, I remember just getting started and seeing that and thinking that is buyer confidence. I mean, that is when you see something like that go, you're like, all right, well, if someone's willing to spend, that much money on this moment, then the lower level moments are just going to pop eventually. So it did a lot for the space. And then, I think it's a great buy. I love the rationale around the Genesis and the Platinum Ice moments, having 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's
is there a better card that you could have purchased? No,
right? The argument at the time I would say would be 1 or 23 of the Cosmic LeBron.
No, but besides the LeBron, besides that particular LeBron.
Well,
No,
it's
right?
a different LeBron dunk. So
Oh,
ours
okay.
is the Kobe tribute dunk, and the Cosmic Hollow one are the dunk over the King. So it is a different play, which is
Okay.
why like I was very specific to kind of select that one.
You got to
amazing.
go Kobe tribute, especially Chad. That's right up your alley.
Like I'm assuming it's the rock the band.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one.
I'm just trying to think of like what could possibly top that moment. Like what could come into the space when you think about run it back moments. What could it's going to take a lot to top
like a Kobe walk off 81 or something like that.
No. It would be. There's no doubt that his block in the finals would probably be like his holy grail moment of his career. But
the one on
Iguodala, in the finals,
yeah.
So I think that would be, but there was no guarantee, and I don't think it would happen where it would be numbered to 59 or 49 or of 3 or whatever. So that's why, like with the Cosmic, you're betting on its first, which I think is a fair bet. But with the tribute, at least, like think about all the Kobe LeBron fans that are now out there because he won a title in LA. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like someone just paid 4.6 for Luka, and he hasn't won a playoff series. So I think once you get over the tangibility, like that's clearly more valuable than a Luka Doncic, at least in my opinion.
So talk about that piece, because I think that's really important to what we're trying to talk about in general, is that tangibility versus the intangible. And why is it so hard for it almost like it either clicks for you or it doesn't, or it just takes longer to click, right? But there is there's obviously value in digital things. We see it all the time. But I think from a collectible piece, it's a lot harder to understand. So talk about that and why it was, what your rationale is between the two. Because, I saw Gary Vee say something the other day where it was basically, and I really like this, it doesn't have to be either or, it can be this and, you know what I mean? So, but talk about that tangibility piece, because I think that's so important.
Yeah, well, I think vintage takes a nice bump to this digital stuff, but I worry about the modern stuff. I worry about how many prisms were created, in the 2018 or the 2019, and with blockchain and with crypto, everything's so transparent now, and we lived in a world where you didn't know anything, right? All you had was a PSA pop report, which I don't even know if I trust that, to be frank. But I think it can be and for sure. There's no doubt about it. Like and I think the people that think it's or are the people that feel very threatened. And let me tell you, if you feel threatened, it's because you're over leveraged. And the smartest thing you could have done when Top Shot popped up was gone 5% into Top Shot as a hedge. And if it went to 0, then your cards would have gone up. And now clearly Top Shot's here to stay. Now, you're kind of in a dangerous situation because you're holding a lot of Colin Sexton prisms, and it's just like, he's not that good. So you're upset. But I think, there's room for both without a doubt. I'm kind of done, to be honest, trying to explain to people like why it has value. Like I'm just over that. Like at this point, it's either just acknowledge that a lot of people are spending a lot of money. So clearly there's a market for it. So like, I don't even feel the need to explain, hey, this is why. Like you could just take a picture of the Mona Lisa, all that jibber jabber. So I'm just now so confident in my position that this stuff is the future. That's why I ended up buying a CryptoPunk, because I thought they looked dumb as hell at first. I learned, I learned to understand the value, and I actually do find some of them cooler than others. But at the beginning, I was just like, NFTs are what my bet is. That's the first NFT ever. So I wanted to be a part of that community as well.
So Chad, as he was saying that, Chad, you put up the Kobe tribute dunk. The current lowest ask is $179,000. So far so good on that one. What were you gonna?
Look, I mean, there's one thing with Top Shot is like, I would love to see a bid system so we could see true market value. I think Star Stock does a really nice job of that. And I was trading on Star Stock, which is so funny to hear, millions of dollars being poured into that platform, and the physical card world be so supportive when it's the exact same thing. You're never touching those cards. You just know something's backing it. So I think for that reason, like that was enough. I was huge on Star Stock. And
I
now,
still am. All my physical cards are going to Star. I literally am sitting here with thousands of sleeved cards right next to me. They're all going to Star Stock. I'm not doing any physical stuff. The only thing I'm keeping are my slabs, and then everything else is I already have 4,000, 5,000 cards on Star Stock.
Yeah.
And because it's the same, I made the exact same analogy in the Breaker Culture Discord, actually, because it feels the same. It's like you don't need to be touching it. You know something's backing it, and you know it's all the things that it solves. It's instant. You don't have to. It's instant ownership. It's no backsies. You don't have to deal with eBay returns, all that kind of stuff. But I'm with you, Des. You were gonna say something before.
So I hopped onto a Clubhouse pretty early on, Jack, and you were talking about a project you had, and I just wanted to update because I thought it was so interesting talking about blending the physical and the digital world. Are you still involved in kind of creating a physical kind of, digital screen that you can view your moments on, have on your desk, be reminded of what you have digitally in the physical world?
Yeah, we put out like the first iteration of it, like just a prototype. I tweeted it out. So I have to share that with you if you didn't see it. But it was like not a crappy job, but a very early first, a beta, as Top Shop would like to say.
Sure. So it could be there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. But we got some feedback and we're definitely working through it. I don't know if we'll end up being the one that like fully goes through with it, because there's just a lot of people who have probably done a lot of stuff like that, and a lot of money and a lot of time and energy, because someone's going to win that space. And it's not even going to be one person. It's just going to be like, there's going to be different options. People are going to want to display their stuff on digital. And then like Rainbow Wallet for mobile, I think does an amazing job. And if you could tokenize these moments and share them in your wallet, like, I don't even know if I would want the display. I think it would be for like a one moment thing, but I wouldn't want, hundreds of my moments cycling on a daily basis.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of the update on that. But I think there's absolutely, like, there will be displays that have digital stuff in them in the future, no doubt.
So you did mention, you said something that I thought was interesting, is you bought a CryptoPunk, right? And it was because your bet was NFTs are the future. So when you say that, because I think I agree with you as far as what's possible. What do you see as, with Top Shot, what's possible with what we can do? Because the other big, I think, negative, argument we get with Top Shot or the digital is, what's the utility, right? So what do you see as the possibility for utility with NFTs and Top Shot in general?
I mean, utility is pretty much where these things become the monsters that they are. So my favorite, like a big reason and a big push I had for, even the LeBron moment was because I watched my brother spend $500 a year on FIFA and building his ultimate team. And I know kids who follow me spend thousands of dollars building my team on 2K. So they're already doing this. $6 billion last year for FIFA. And when FIFA 22 comes out, it's worth Zippo, So it's like people are already doing this. So you just have to create entertainment value out of it. And then people won't just look at it as investments or assets, which I think is interesting. And they had already announced that they were going to do hardcourt. So that made me excited. I would love a partnership with 2K in the future. Like, I think that could be awesome. So that's one example. LG was talking about like Spencer Dinwiddie could do weekly Zooms with his fans who own 10 plus moments, right? So you take Patreon and you turn it into a fully immersive experience. My favorite is like, I go to a Knicks game, I scan my ticket, and a week later they drop a moment into my account from that game. It doesn't have to be worth anything, but it could be worth $1. So it could be traded if I forgot to scan my moment and go buy it. But now I have a digital passport. And I think
it's funny. I have a whole box of from when I was a kid that my dad saved all our ticket stubs, right? And that's what that is. And they're not worth anything really. I mean, maybe some of them are, but like if you graded them, because people are doing that these days, but like they're memories, right? They're collectibles. They're a place you had been. And I think also one of the other things I heard was almost like a status, right? You go to a game and there's a Top Shot New York Knicks lounge, right? Like when that would be kind of cool. You own X amount of Knicks moments. You're in the top. It's all like an airline lounge. You know what I mean?
I would own every freaking Knicks moment if I could sit, like it's, and I think what is super cool about these things is you would then be able to trade off of them, right? So it's not just sinking the money into it, because you can recoup money at a later date. I think that's, coming from sports betting, right? I use the example of physical cards with Josh Allen and sports betting. If you bet Josh Allen to win MVP, win the AFC, or win the Super Bowl, you lost 3 bets. If you bought his sports cards, you won huge, right? Because he just went up huge. So that the zero-sum game is kind of less appealing to me. I've stopped betting a ton on sports actually recently because
I did the same thing. That's so
right?
funny.
It's just, I mean, there's different use cases for it, but this is just a different way of kind of gambling in a safer way. Upside is capped to a degree, but the downside is also capped. So I've enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Can we take a minute too, just to reflect on the Knicks season for a moment?
Incredible. We play the Little Bros tonight. I'm very excited.
I'm a diehard Laker fan, so I've obviously had nothing but great memories. I can't remember a season, and I mean you haven't won a championship yet, but it's definitely a good season. This is probably the best season since
since Melo.
We had since '94. Like when did Allen Houston sink that shot?
That's a little low. That's a little low. Carmelo Anthony led the Knicks to a playoff series victory, so I've been in New York for the past few years. There's no doubt that like a Jets, Giants, Super Bowl, Rangers, Islander, any of that, like it's split. The Knicks have 99%.
Oh yeah,
like there's an energy even around last year's draft or 2 years ago when I was here. So we're so excited in New York.
I'm a Knicks fan too, Jack. So I'm a Knicks fan too. So I'm with you on that train for sure. So cool. I think that kind of covers a lot of what I wanted to talk about, just from the your experience and your thoughts on the physical versus Top Shot. Let's start getting into some Top Shot marketplace action here with our boy DEZ's data. So Jack, I've heard you talk about, you do have the one of the holy grail moments, but I've heard you say on multiple occasions you suck at timing the marketplace.
Terrible. I mean, I liquidated my LeBron to buy in because I thought I was buying the dip, and even that stuff's dipped. I bought Seeing Stars at its absolute peak. Not its absolute peak, but because I knew you never buy right away, and then it dropped, and I was like, okay, I nailed it.
I did,
and then it dropped even further. But yeah, I'm not good at timing the market. But I do think I'm solid at least selecting the moments that make a lot of sense. And I think because we're so into it, people don't realize that if you actually sit down and listen and think through these things, it's super valuable, super plus EV. Timing it is where it makes it look otherwise. But overall, I would actually bet that 90% of people don't know badges are going to be on the site. 90%.
We're going to talk about that right now. That's a great segue. Look at that.
Wait,
all right, what do we got?
I did have one question for Jack. So
go ahead.
if you had to pick one moment to get into Top Shot, is it going to be Kai Jones's game-sealing Big 12 championship win for Texas, which, gosh, I don't think they've never won the Big 12, right?
Nope,
lost 6 times.
Yeah.
Right, Kai Jones game-sealing victory, or is it McDonough versus Archibald Spalding 3-pointer by none other than Jack Soto?
Yeah, I mean, having your own moment would just be the coolest thing. It has to be that. I'm trying to think what Texas. My best moment at Texas would be Javon Felix beats UNC on a buzzer beater. That was we didn't win a tournament game, and then we had the worst 4 years in football history. So it was not a fun time at UT.
How far you got them going in your bracket?
I actually haven't filled mine out yet, and ironically, I have Baylor winning it all. That is the one thing I have. Yeah. It's sad.
That's funny.
All right, so which one do you want to start with there, Des?
Let's do the 3 badges, just because that's a great topic Jack brought up. And, Joe and I were talking, or we were all talking, there's some big news, with triple badges that at least a person like myself who been in the platform, who think they know a little bit, I totally missed out on this. And this was kind of a knowledge bomb that was dropped on me yesterday. And I think it just even goes to value the triple badges more. So what you're looking at, just to set the stage here, is basically all 3 badge rookies from the 2021 season. There is one RJ Barrett, Knicks. I hope you own it, Jack. 3-star, 3 badge rookie from last season. It's the only 3-star.
Let's reset real quick. So let's just start at the very, very beginning. What are these badges? Why are they important? And what's so special about them, right? And why does it go into a little bit about maybe making a smarter decision over one moment or another?
Yeah. Well, the irony to the whole thing is like the badges shouldn't affect anything. Like nothing actually changes with the you know what I mean? It's such a fun human behavior study, which is like you put this shiny bell on this product that already existed, and now you say it's worth more, when in reality, like nothing. It's very interesting.
Well, but like it draws the parallel to the physical sports cards with the RC logo, right? So exactly. And that's when I think about that's what everybody chases in the sports card hobby. It's the rookie cards, right? Or vintage, right? Like your 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year LeBron are not what really people are looking for. It's they're the rookie cards, right? So that's what these badges are, right? So there's going to be 3 badges potentially for each rookie, as well as people's first moments, right? So if it's your first moment, you'll have a badge. If it's your rookie debut game, it'll be a badge. And if it's minted in your rookie year, it'll have a badge, correct? So when we say 3 badge moment for these rookies, that means they qualify. This specific moment has all 3 of those, where another moment in the same series may only have 2 or 1. But so you kind of start to see there might be a little hierarchy built within some moments within the same series, which I think is important because of how many moments are going to end up being on the platform in the long run, right? Like so how do you make a decision on, or how does Top Shot even start to tier levels of interest, right? After series 1, which obviously has just a straight up mint run advantage, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about these moments. So now we can go back to what's important about them. Go ahead, Des.
And to add to that, the reason I don't think that, and Jack's right, when the 3 badges come, it's not going to make the moment look so much cooler. It's not going to be the best, badges you've ever seen, outperform the RC logo. But what I think the value lies in is a little bit of scarcity. And we'll talk about that. There's going to be a lot of 2-star moments in a rookie's season, but there's only going to be 1 3-star. And so that the scarcity aspect, I think, adds a lot. But I think, honestly, the functionality of just being able to search for 3-star rookies and 2-star rookies is going to be massive. As soon as they add that to the marketplace as a tag, I think that'll do more for the rookies than anything we could talk about here today. So I think once they add that functionality and make it easy for users who just joined the platform to find rookies, I think that'll be huge.
Awesome. So you've put together some really cool information here. So what we're seeing, and for those of you who are listening on the podcast version, we have a list here of all of the triple badge rookies. So, just to run through who those are really quickly, you've got LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Halliburton, Wiseman, quickly, like Patrick Williams, Obi Toppin, Cole Anthony. Those are kind of your top rookies by lowest ask right now and by market cap, right? And then, anybody who's got a 4,000, the rookie moment out of 4,000, that's what we're talking about in this specific scenario. Is that correct, Des?
That is correct. Yeah, we're only looking at the 4,000. So like Sam Merrill, awesome moment out of 12,000, not his debut in the NBA. We're not talking about that. So we're just talking about all the first debut game moments.
So that's a quick way for you to, if you're just looking for, and not seeing this list, it's how do I know and identify before the badge comes, right? Before the badge comes, how do I identify which ones those are going to be? And it's going to be the ones that are minted, especially just in Series 2 out of 4,000, right? So you did mention that RJ Barrett one is the only one, which I think is very interesting and special, and I'm trying to upgrade to one in Series 1. Now, what is interesting about that RJ Barrett one is, and I think this is what you were alluding to a little bit, Des, is in Series 1, all of the RJ Barrett moments that are from that debut game will get that 3 badges. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, the MGLE, the base, and then why can't I think of the other one?
Hollow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
They're all going to get the 3 badges. And
that's because they're actually the same moment. They're just different tiers and different mints, which is what we were discussing the other day. I was listening to the Non-Fun Gerbils podcast a while back where Alan came on. He's one of the game designers from Dapper. And he said the reason they did that in Series 1, where they repeat moments just at different mint levels, was originally the thought was to mimic the physical sports card world where you have parallels, right? So there was going to be a base, there was going to be, the MGLE, and then a different, more rare parallel. And the feedback they got was it didn't really hit with the video moments, right? So that's why you see repeat moments in Series 1, and it wasn't because they didn't have moments. It was because they were trying to mimic the physical sports card world of parallels, which I think is pretty interesting. But so that does make the RJ Barrett 1, it's the only 3 badge rookie in Series 1. 2, there's going to be 3 different variations you could buy that have, that have that 3 badge. And then lastly would be, you'll notice that one, even though it's minted higher than the other moment of RJ Barrett, it's priced higher, right? And that's because I think those badges are priced in. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people don't know about the badges, but I think a lot of people do as well, and especially maybe the higher price collectors. So yeah, it's factored in to some extent. That's why I said, the biggest impact it will have is so that other people can find it easily and have that knowledge.
And Jack, are the badges going to be something that that are important to you making decisions going forward, or because you kind of seemed like yes and no, right?
Yeah, they're huge. I mean, they're huge. I would say I hold a couple RJ Hollows. That's the one benefit in being a Knicks fan, was I was just shamelessly buying him coming off a really bad season, to be frank. And now he's playing out of his mind. And I'm not, I wouldn't even consider letting that go before he gets this 3 badge. The most interesting badge to me, because Series 2 has a lot more 3 badges, is actually the Giannis Run It Back. So you see the Giannis Run It Back sitting at around the same price as Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, he has his accolades to his name, not as many MVPs, obviously. Giannis feels like he has, more time to grow into his career. KD's established, and we know who he's going to be. He can tack on accolades, but he's not, his rep around the league. Giannis can still kind of change how people view him. So it's pretty interesting to see them priced at the same time. And Giannis is going to get that rookie tag. And for anyone from the physical space coming in, that to me will be massive, is you're owning a Giannis rookie when we don't have any KD rookies, LeBron rookie, right? Any of those. Could those come? Yes. But like, if you look at all the rookies in the league, it's like Giannis up here, and then LaMelo Ball is next, but he's like, miles away. So
maybe that's the one we should group by, guys.
I was looking to trade for one of them because I really do think, and plus, look, I was walking around Dallas this weekend selling some Giannis because I was just liquidating some modern stuff, and people do not like Giannis. They buy very heavy into this playoff narrative, which is fair to this point. He hasn't proven it, but one run from him, and it unlocks top 5 player ever potential. Now it's a big if, but how many players in the league can you say could be top 5 players ever? It's like him and LeBron. It's literally like it's 2 people. It's not Luka Doncic. It's not LaMelo Ball. It's not Durant. Like Giannis is the only one who is top 5.
Could
potential.
be LaMelo.
Chad,
It's not
Chad,
LaMelo Ball. It's not LaMelo Ball.
Chad, what do you think about that? Giannis top 5 potential?
I'm talking potential. I'm not
Potential.
saying
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
He does have the potential to do it. I don't think he has when you talk top 5, on top of the skill, on top of the size, on top of the physical attributes, on top of the longevity of career, you need to also have that killer instinct. Rings 100%. But you also have the killer instinct, and the killer instinct kind of gives you the ring. You know what I mean? A lot of the time. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kobe, LeBron, people are dogging.
But that's the thing.
People are dogging LeBron on it, but he's a killer now. He's
but that's the thing. He became a killer once the ring came, and also once he was taught by Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley.
100%.
So that's why I just say his potential. That I don't think there's no debate. And LeBron, remember, he's the best 3-point shooter in year 17 and 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm not saying Giannis ever gets to that point, but if he improves incrementally year by year, if he wins a title this year, he'll have won a title at the same time as LeBron James, which is crazy in the grand scheme.
He definitely has the physical attributes to be able to get into a top 5 all-time player, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
So Dez,
his road is a lot harder now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially with the Knicks, man. Especially with the Knicks. Are you kidding me? He better go west.
Quickly.
Man. That's all I have to say.
So Dez, just recapping that first 3 badge rookie moments here. Based on the data that you've put together, where do you see potential value in maybe picking up some of these that might be, a little underpriced?
Sure.
You only have to tell me once. I don't. It doesn't take me 3 times. Just tell me which one to buy. I'll buy right now.
Yeah, you're going to market buy whichever one it is.
It's actually an obvious one, and I never say this, and I get to use the whole "I'm not a financial advisor" claim.
Yeah,
but
of course, right.
I would definitely buy Killian Hayes. Just if you look what happened with Kevin Porter Jr. and him coming off an injury and what his moments have done since since KPJ came back from the G League, it's going to happen the same way with Killian Hayes. He did not have a career-ending injury, and he'll be back, I think, towards the end of March. And he's a great rookie. He's a top 7 pick. He's versatile with the ball. He's international, which I love that appeal. And I think, Killian Hayes is an automatic buy right now at the price he sits because of the boost you're automatically going to get once he starts playing again. Boom. So that's the one I love, to be honest.
Chad, did you just buy it?
I'm in the midst. I'm going to buy it after the show.
Yeah. So on our other show, Chad is known for literally just buying at whenever somebody tells him to buy something on the show, he does. Chad, you also need to run the, when you are done buying that, run the "This is not financial advice" ticker on the bottom of the screen. so people know. But I think
how you get around it? Like the name of our show is The Mint Condition Digital Collectibles Entertainment. If you put entertainment on the end of anything, you automatically don't ever have to say it's not financial.
What about if we name the show Financial Advice Entertainment?
That's a fun way to get around it.
Okay. Jack, what do you think of that? What do you think of that play by Dez?
Yeah, it's not a bad play. The only question is, and I learned this in Dallas this weekend, and it's really going to change a lot of my philosophies. Top Shot, maybe it's a little more complex, but at the end of the day, the players I want to own are like really good basketball players. And Killian Hayes, he's played like 10 games. So I think you could see a bump just by him coming back and being in the news. There's no doubt about it. But what I learned was like even the medium level or the above average players, like there's less liquidity on them because like they're not that good at the end of, they're not the people you'll never have a problem selling LeBron James or LaMelo Ball right now, So for that reason, the player, like the rookie that I love is Halliburton because I think he could be the most special rookie in the whole class. And he is more expensive, but he's, if he is the second best rookie, so I think it's a great option. I just don't know how. I don't watch enough Killian Hayes to actually know his play, but based off him coming back, I think he'll definitely receive a bump.
No, I agree. Looking at value, I think is what the chart is meant for, right? I created it off basically a DFS model where you can quick scan for, green lines and find the values. And so, but I think long-term investments, if you're not looking to flip and really kind of hold these players, I can't agree more. Tyrese Halliburton's massive. If you want another reason to go buy one right now, because Edwards just had that monster 34-point game, he's actually above Tyrese Halliburton right now, which is for the long term insane. So I think, absolute value there. I was lucky to pack a Rising Stars Halliburton out of
saw that. That's awesome.
So
good for you.
That was sweet. Yeah.
I think you make good points, right? And I think that's what's really interesting about Top Shot. And it is a market in the sense that there's different strategies, right? Like, Jack's saying, hey, I'm going more long-term hold type of deals. This is what I'm going to park my money in and not really have to pay attention to it. Whereas DEZ's play is more, okay, I'm going to be involved and engaged in the market. And when this pops, I'm out, right? Like, I think that's, and it really just depends on how you want to play it. Personally, for me, I do a little of both, right? So I like to be engaged and I like to try to find those quicker flips. And so I'm interested in stuff like that while my whole goal is to color up, right? Eventually. So I think that's really interesting. Chad, what do we got for our next graphic here?
All right. I'll pull up. You know what? I'd like to talk about, because I feel like I made a mistake. Just getting back to what Jack was saying earlier. I have trouble timing these purchases. In our group chat, everybody was getting excited about the Seeing Stars challenge. So I thought we could bring up the challenge tracker. And I really like this because you guys brought up some points. You guys are a little bit more familiar just with Top Shots and with, the trading collectibles and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And the amount of units per card is a big factor in that. And when we were chatting in our group chat, you were saying, yeah, only the completed challenges will decide what the mint is. And I think that plays a big factor in whether you should load up on, like what I just did is, I literally purchased every single All-Star this past weekend. And I'm just sitting and I've lost a little value off of the top, if I'm being honest. But maybe can you walk us through what the life cycle of a challenge looks like?
Is that for me or that's
for Des? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. Any challenge so far will tell you there's a lot of interest and excitement out the gate, and it rises to a pretty good peak, and then obviously right before, it's interesting. Early challenges like in December and January, they would actually kind of fall a little bit as towards it was closing out. And then now you have it oddly stay pretty high, even though everyone's moments are just going to, fall off a cliff after the reward gets minted. And so that's what you see. You see this giant bell curve right around the close of the challenge. So it's interesting. It's hard. It's a hard thing to time. That's the one thing that, we can build all these models and based off historicals, but every challenge is different. The reward draws better interest. The dollar to complete the challenge is different. So it's a really hard thing to guess at, but
So Jack, it seems to me just based on our conversation here that you probably are not a challenge guy, I would think.
So yeah, it's so funny. Once again, timing the market, just terrible. Like I thought when the 4,000 LaMelos came out, I was like, why are there so many of these? Like these are not going to be worth anything. Oops. Okay. 35K mint in series 2. And same thing with challenges. It felt like everyone would do them. And I was like, these are not going to be valuable or worth it. And I got lucky because I don't know what I bought a bunch of Run It backpacks when they came out. So I was pretty close to completing them. So I was just like, oh, $34 for DeMarcus Cousins or 42 and like those are worth thousands of dollars, So I literally got lucky that I just had some Dapper Bounds and like wanted to complete those. And I hadn't completed anything till the Seeing Stars. And then when I sold my LeBron, I wanted to do the Seeing Stars because what I found interesting was the Seeing Stars challenge. Not only are you collecting studs, but the reward are the two best players in the league right now. So I did want to load up on the LeBron side of it, and I bought the KD side so far. I know I need to buy the LeBron side before they announce the LeBron challenge, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think there's been a challenge to date yet that's been negative EV, but it feels like, at some point, not every challenge is going to be, or else everyone's just going to keep doing them. So it's real. The challenges are super interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's quick wrap up with Jack here before he's got to go. We did mention at the top that we bought you a gift for coming on the show as our first guest. We know that you're a Knicks fan, so I'm a huge Emmanuel Quickley fan as well. Have you also mentioned that you bought a crypto punk? Have you heard of crypto dunks?
I have. I like the crypto dunks. I love the crypto dunks.
So, Chad, why don't you show him what we purchased him today? We got you an immaculate Quackley crypto dunk.
That's a great nickname also.
We got you an immaculate Quackley. So these look like crypto punk. They're pixelated versions of, I guess, they're parody NBA players. And we knew Jack would appreciate that. So thank you for coming on our show, Jack. We'll get this over to you with your ETH address. Just pop it to me in a DM, and we wanted to give you a literal token, a digital token of our appreciation.
It's a non-fungible token.
I appreciate it. And you know what, before I go, is so crazy is that is NFTs, right? Which is you're going to be able to engage with people in a completely different way. And instead of you guys Venmoing me, whatever that costs, that's a super cool token. I'm never going to resell it unless it goes to, $2 million.
You should absolutely
never know.
Resell it. I'll distribute your original investment. I'll take the profits.
Jack's going to go right off of here and tweet that he has it for 10 ETH. And
Josh Hart did it. But yeah, I think NFTs are really cool like that. But I do appreciate you guys for having me. Super fun to talk. And we could always talk for hours about this stuff. So I hope to be back on in the future.
For sure, man. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you later. All right. So let's get our
what a
last
guy.
Dude, that was awesome. It was
for your first guest to have Jack Settleman. That's pretty awesome. That's great.
He was really great to have on, and just super down to earth, which is great. I mean, he's light years ahead of where I was at that age too. So, now that you see all my face and your face, Chamber, they know we're old guys. So,
I just bought some beard dye today, so we're good.
There you go.
Take care.
Do we got one more piece of data here that we wanted to cover?
Yeah, let's do it. 100%. I have the 25 under 25.
Yeah,
so I think
talk about this. This was fun.
Yeah, I think this is a super important list. I put it together towards the end of last week and updated it yesterday. But it's the top 25 players based on a couple different stats, but under the age of 25. So when you look at the longevity of Top Shot, where it's going, who of these will be the superstars we talk about, 5 years from now? They're that of age where they can really come into themselves. They can get traded to better teams. They can become superstars. They have talent right now. So I think it's a really interesting list, especially if you look at, the future and maybe a little bit longer hold than just say a quick flip. So that's what you have here.
Yeah. And you're, at the top where we're talking about potential value for Top Shot here and where you might find some value in plays. Obviously there's some huge price tags up at the top. You got Zion up over 7,000. You got Ja Morant at 6,000, which I've been trying to color up into that moment. I want that one. I don't know why, but I do. Luka at 5,400, and then you got this year's phenom LaMelo Ball at 3,000. Then there's a pretty big drop down in price. You got Tatum at 16, Donovan Mitchell at around 14, Devin Booker at 13, Halliburton, which we just talked about, at 1,200, SGA at 925, which I think is actually a pretty interesting one. Where do you see some value on this list and why?
Sure. So just even, like I said, doing the quick scan, trying to find the green, trying to find the value. I think some in the middle that could have real good potential upside. The one thing I try to keep in mind is the mint size, and I try to balance that with the lowest price, right? Because there are some very big differences in mint size. Some are in the 1400s, some are in the 4000s.
Right, and that's what it's affecting that price tag too, potentially on some of them.
Exactly. So I always like to look at market cap as kind of the great equalizer. It depends on what you like, because a lot of people, especially in the traditional, physical card world, love to stay away from the big men, right? Big men don't sell as much as guards, power forwards, small forwards. Let's say if you're looking for a guard, I still think De'Aaron Fox is a great buy. He's one of the most heavily touted by Gary Vee, who I know we talked about early on before. So he has some following around it. He's at a really good price. I think it says on the screen it's at 670. So that's a really good value. You look at his points per game, that's impressive. You can see that bright green at 23 points per game. Especially look at the people around him, that's considerably a bit higher. So I like De'Aaron Fox. I like Ayton. Didn't Ayton just have like a massive sale?
Yes, he did.
To some NBA player, right?
Yeah,
it was Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes bought it.
Who, by the way, of all the active NBA players, Harrison Barnes owns the most moments.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Yes,
he got that fat contract.
By far owns the most moments. Josh Hart, I think, just opens his packs and sells them.
Yeah, Josh Hart's not going to get the Nike deal. He's going to make his money. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at this list. The one that's jumping out at me is Ben Simmons at 889, 13 min size 1359. Joel Embiid just is going to be done for a while, if not maybe the rest of the season, being as fragile as he is and not an MVP candidate, in my opinion. I think Ben Simmons is going to shine. He looked great last night in his first game. They demolished their opponent. I forget who it was, but they beat him by like 35, 40 points. And Ben Simmons looked great. Am I wrong there? Is there some upside in your opinion?
What? I think there is some upside. It depends on how you look at it. I'm a huge Ben Simmons investor, so I'm pumping my bags for sure if I talk about it. But
not financial advice ticker.
That's right. But I think a lot of the reason also that I invested early on in Ben Simmons is because they were so hot. Embiid was playing pretty well, and they could actually have a title run. And so now that he's injured, you just never know how that affects it. And I think people are taking that into account when they lower the value. So I think it is a really good opportunity to pump this That's good.
That's funny. So what I think is interesting about this, and I think as the platform develops, we're going to see more if on-court play has that big of an impact on prices, right? Like there's a ton of DFS guys that have come over, and that makes me think, yes, right? So doing analysis like this will be really important in the future to gain an edge. And I'm just curious to see your thoughts on that, Des, as far as what you've seen so far, if you see that continuing, and how people might be able to gain an edge like that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to try to do it either two ways. And Jack talked about it. You're either going to try to, and you as well, you're either going to color up and try to get the best quality, best moments you can and sit on them and watch them grow and bet on the platform. At that point, you're really betting on the long-term success of Top Shot, which is great because I think it's here to stay. I think it's great at dealing with the inefficiencies of the physical market. We talked all about it. But so that would be, betting long-term on the success of Top Shot. If you're looking to flip, you got to find value, and you got to find the catalyst. You got to foresee the catalyst that's going to spike these. And sometimes it's, a big game, but sometimes it's the badges coming out. Sometimes, it's coming back from an injury. So you really have to think like what in the future is going to spark interest, spark demand for this certain player, get them at a good value, and ride that out. And don't be afraid to cash out. A lot of people talk about paper hands in this era and diamond hands. You should be selling hype, and you should, be buying panic. That's kind of what I always say. Anytime there's panic in the market, for some reason, people do things that they shouldn't be doing. Take advantage of that. Buy in the dip. And then when the hype builds up, let loose. And so I think that's what you're going to do. The reason why I changed the formats of these charts 50 times is because I wanted a quick way to scan it. And I think I've settled on something good where you can quick scan and find the values. So that's what I'm looking for. But there's multiple ways to go about it.
I think patience is huge too, right? Like that's, I think, one of the things that I've learned so far, just like any other market, but patience is huge. Watch these cycles happen a couple times so you know what's going to happen in the future, or at least can make educated guesses on that, right? So, Chad, what do you got up on the
I have one
screen
question.
Yeah.
So my boy THT got his first moment. I think maybe in the pre-sale packs.
Yes.
I don't know if it was before that. But that's when that's when he was popping up for me, at least. I watched this.
This moment is $140.
$140. I bought it for $80. Is it that scarce though?
No. Well, it is. So it is, and it's out of 12,000 versus what's coming with the new ones are mostly 35,000, and that's because it's his first moment. So this is going to get This is going to get his first moment badge that we were talking about. And, is it, Des, what are your thoughts on THT here?
It's tough with all the new moments coming out. You really do. And this is where sites like Crypto Slam, Evaluate.market are so important, because you got to check how many have been released in packs, right?
That was what I was going to say.
And there's in my chart, there's usually a number or percent listed. That is so important to keep in mind, because if you have, like example, Emmanuel Quickly, phenomenal player, great player, but his percent listed is so much lower than a lot of the 3-star rookies that have been out for so long, that naturally he's going to have an elevated price. So you kind of have to wait around until a lot of the moments get distributed before you pull the trigger.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not sure where THT stands as far as, I know he's only 12,000, and I know the pre-order pack had quite a few of them, but it'll be interesting to see how many get released.
I would like an update on the next episode, please.
Yeah, we'll get it for you. We'll follow your THT.
Does the fact that Caruso is also in the moment elevate the price? Because it absolutely should.
For sure.
What'd you say you bought it for, Chad?
I bought it for $80 the other day. I thought I was overpaying. Yeah.
Good.
I thought I was overpaying. I don't care. I YOLO'd into a THT.
That's amazing.
But I also have a $1,500 Caruso moment that is hemorrhaging money.
I think we have one more order of business.
One more. That's it.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know.
Okay,
know.
I wasn't sure if you had it available because we didn't talk about it before the show. So
I got you.
We were lucky enough, to have Des with us, be doing all this data, and Des is giving a gift to the people today. So we have, last week we gave away the Steph Curry, which we actually technically still haven't given away because gifting has been off the whole.
Do you want to update on that too? Because it sounds like maybe gifting might be up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, gifting's going to be up. They said hopefully by today, but it sounds like definitely by the time this episode drops tomorrow. So we will get all those giveaways out. So Des, what are we giving away here?
We're giving the Zion away. It's you talk about upside potential. Zion does have, you look at his numbers, where he's at compared to LeBron, MJ, as far as points early on in his career. He had half a season really last season. The upside is there. So I wanted to give one of the kind of, bright stars of the league. So it was hard to pick, but I chose Zion. I do love Ja, but Ja doesn't have this set of moments. So it's a Zion to, I think it's like 7,000, I believe, 7,589. Awesome. It's from the base set too, 35K, but happy to do it. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for having me. Hope I can provide stuff going forward in charts anytime you need them. But it's been a pleasure.
For sure. So, Chad, you going to run the giveaway here?
Yes, I am. I'm going to pull it up right now.
We didn't have quite as many entrants this time, but we had over 100 again, which is.
I feel like we had a good amount. Yeah.
That's awesome.
1 second here. We had 118.
Nice.
Oh, is
All
it?
right.
No, 1 second. Is it showing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. This is my first row. It's only my second episode, so I gotta go easy on me here. All right, so we had 118. I have it set up where We're going to have one winner and then 3 backups just in case for whatever reason the first one doesn't work, or if it's one of us or somebody that we know or somebody that we don't want to give it to. But here we go. We're going to start it off. We're going to have a 5
decentralization.
I am the CZ here. So we have a winner. Oh,
nice.
And he has a hash mask as a logo, which is
there you go. See, dude, we have such a good crypto following. That's the thing.
So good.
So this is going to Revan 357-28110. Definitely a real person and not a Russian agent. So
who are our backups?
Our
here,
backups to be on the safe side. We have Ignorer. We have Mark Mercier and MD Border. So maybe Dr. Border. I don't know. But that's who we have. So we will contact Revan and see if he is available with a Top Shot account and
make him do a captcha because I'm not sure that he's a real person.
There's a lot of digits on that back of that.
Make him go through and pick the bicycles or the school
Put it in H. Put it in H.
Awesome. So that we have one more quick announcement for the show. We actually, I think, are going to be doing another short episode this week. We're going to kick off a little social media actionable campaign here. We're going to be doing Moment Madness. So we are going to be coming back with a quick live show to go through the brackets. What I did was I took the top 64. I took a snapshot today of what the top 64 moments on the platform are by lowest ask. So they're going to be what in theory should be the most iconic moments on the platform by lowest ask. And I seeded them out in 4 brackets, and we're going to put those moments out for Twitter polls and match them up against each other. You guys will vote, and throughout the course of the next 2 weeks, we will get down to a final 4, which will show all the moments on next week's show. And that should be a lot of fun. We're going to just go through tomorrow and kind of name or kick off the bracket, and then we'll be out on Twitter doing polls. So keep an eye out for that. Des is going to put together a cool little graphic for us to keep track of the bracket, and that should be fun. I'm actually excited to see what is going to win out. Is it going to be the moment? Is it going to be the set? Is it going to be the player? What do you think, Des? You saw the peak of the bracket. What do you think?
Well, I mean, with a few exceptions, and I should actually do this list of where the moment itself outpaces what scarcity and value it should have. You know, I'm talking the Vince Carter moment, talking about LeBron.
That's
tribute.
on there.
I'm curious. I think this fan base has a lot of Canadian following, and I'm going to go with my pick is Vince Carter's 3-pointer last shot. Yeah.
Wow. You think that's going to take it all down? I like that pick. I like it.
Canada.
I can't remember exactly. I think it ended up being a 3 or 4 seed in the bracket. Don't quote me on that, but so it's very possible. Chad, what do you?
I'm gonna now. I forgot to ask you. Are you Canadian, Des?
No, it seems like everyone on these things are, but no.
So Chad is Canadian.
I am Canadian, and as a Canadian, I don't think Canada likes Vince Carter as much as you think he might. He left. He left on bad terms. Not good. I don't know who the Canadian kind of favorite would be, but I wouldn't necessarily put Vince Carter as in higher regards in Canada. As you might think. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, as not as a Raptor fan, but I think Raptor fans probably put Kyle Lowry ahead of Vince Carter, realistically.
Wow.
I'm not even joking. Like I'm not a joke.
Okay.
Probably Chris Bosh, too. Ahead of Vince.
So who's your Georgia Tech grad right there? So I have to give that shout out.
Oh,
made it to the tournament.
I was gonna say congrats on your ACC championship, and I hope you have a first round victory. I might have to pick them in the first round just based on knowing now that you went there.
Oh yeah, 100% pick them.
So I'm gonna take chalk, and I think but again, maybe not chalk because it's not the Cosmic. I'm gonna go with the LeBron tribute dunk or the Kobe tribute dunk. I think that one might be there. But so we'll kick off the bracket tomorrow. We'll go down and name all the moments, and then we'll get those Twitter polls out. They're going to be fun. We've done it with our crypto podcast, and it was a lot of fun to have people vote on that stuff. We'll tweet it out with links to each moment so you could actually watch the moment and
Awesome.
stuff like that. But that's going to do it for us. Chad, any parting words?
No, just make sure to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, mostly Twitter and TikTok, at the Mint Con. So the Mint COND. It's all the same at everyone. So we try to stay brand loyal, or at least
Yeah, we got a crappy handle, but at least it's the same everywhere.
It's the same everywhere.
Right.
It's the same crappy one, no matter where you go.
That's right.
So yeah, just follow us there. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on Apple. If you are listening to us, you can actually watch us on YouTube through Bench Clear Media, which the link will be in the description. If you're doing the reverse of that, if you're watching us and you feel like listening, you can listen to us on all the major podcast network, podcast listeners. I don't know what they're called. Podcasting machines.
I don't know.
Wherever you listen to your
my
podcast.
My dad told me the other day I had to mail something physically, like my tax. He was like, "Oh, you can submit your tax return physically." I'm like, "What? How do you do that?" I don't even know what that is. How do you do that? So, anyway, all right.
To finish that.
Fellas, I think a great show. Thanks to Jack Settleman for being pretty awesome there. So a great first guest to have. And we will be back next week with episode 3 of the Mint Condition. And until then, stay mint.
Yeah.